The first order has been taken. Who would like to make the second order? Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zetas Prevails. Today we're going to talk about the First Order and the faction ranked, because we've got those cool packs, and we've got to talk about them. The bundles, whatever you want to call them, the bundles of joy. It's messing with everyone. So I'll be releasing the First Order Zeta and Omicron ranking video in the next couple days as well, so stay tuned for that. And then if you're watching this a couple days later, then you can probably just find the link to it, to this Zeta video, in the video description. I'll also probably link them once they're both out to each other, and you guys can click on them at the end of the video as well. So huge shout out to my patrons, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all the support, truly appreciate every single one of you. And huge shout out to my viewers, guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all the support. Please help me mount the algorithm, really do appreciate that. So there is going to be an infographic, folks, and it'll be released once that Zeta video is out. It'll be on my Discord server, and you can find that in the video description. The link to that, you get the free order of not only the characters ranked, but also the Omicrons and Zetas ranked from my other video. That being said, folks, we've talked way too long here. Let's get into, the game madness. We're in the game. Yes, we're in the game. So, ranking these guys, there's only 11 characters in the First Order, and the last time they received an update to the faction, I guess, was it Supreme Leader Kylo? I kind of think it was. So it's been like 4 years, jeez, before. I mean, I guess they got the TIE Dorito, and they got the Echelon a little bit before that. So they've updated the ships a little bit. I mean, the TIE Dorito is First Order, but it's kind of not as well. Alright, so what's the weakest? It's Special Forces TIE Pilot. Now, none of these characters are necessarily weak, folks. He's a pilot. I really like his ship in the context of the First Order ship. I mean, not that the Finalizer is a good fleet, but I mean, it's fine. It's not bad. It's not top tier, I guess. It's not the very top shelf. Especially not anymore. It's killing. It used to be able to kill most Executor builds, and it just, that's where it ends. It doesn't kill Leviathan. It doesn't kill Radis, or whatever it's called, Profundity. Anyways. We're not talking. We're talking about ships. We're talking about ships. We got to talk about the characters, guys. And I think the thing that I like about him is he calls someone to assist, which is too bad, because he it's like, hey, if you call someone to assist, then you don't have to be good on your own. He's like, oh, thank goodness, because I'm not good on my own. I'm like, I know. Alright, next we have First Order TIE Pilots. So the TIE Pilots aren't good on the ground. Who would have thought? Now, he does have an Omicron, which has some uses in GAC. His ship is probably the worst ship in the faction. I mean, it's okay. But, yeah, I think the thing I like most about him, I mean, his Omicron is kind of fun. It was, when it first was released, it had so much promise. It was so exciting, and I was like, man, I think we can kill Galactic Legends with this. This is going to be great. And then it just never panned out. So, I mean, I think with the Omicron, though, it does stop Nest in her tracks from soloing a team, which is nice in 3v3. Or even 5v5. And the problem is, his team would also require you to use all the characters that Supreme Leader Kylo wants to use. Now, if you find other friends for Kylo, then you're able to make another team with First Order TIE Pilot and stuff. But is it worth it? Remains to be seen. Next up, First Order Executioner, or Fox, as people like to call him. Now, man, it kills me to put him at this low over rank already, but he's... Oh man, I keep stealing his mods, you can see. He used to have good mods. He used to have pretty good mods. Yeah, he's still got 160. That's pretty cool. But, He used to be so good in that original team before Supreme Leader Kylo came out. I remember using him with Crew Lead and in GAC, and it was a good squad, and people didn't expect that squad. I was kind of bitter once Supreme Leader Kylo came out because I was like, man, this character, like the First Order Executioner, the whole squad was so good, and now everyone's going to be able to use it. And then we just haven't really been using that many off First Order teams. And I guess you can go with like a Phasma team. Phasma teams aren't that good either, though, guys. Like he's marginal. I like that he ramps damage. That's nice. And I like that you can mod him a few different ways for effectiveness. Like you can mod him for offense. You can also mod him for health, and that also adds extra damage to him. So he's kind of like Maul in that regard. Now, OG Kylo Ren, he was the first person I ever put a Zeta on. Now I have like 300 Zetas or something crazy like that, guys. And I do like OG Kylo. The thing is, the whole faction, like, they don't really work that well with others, but at the same time, like internally, they're all kind of good. And OG Kylo, man, I like the fact that he can ignore like thermal detonators. If your opponent gets cute and places all Jawas on the team on the board, on one team, whatever, I can't talk, but then OG Kylo will just put an end to that pretty easily. In fact, he does a great job because they'd stick a million thermals on him, and he's just gladly throwing his AoE out, but he's immune to all of that stuff, or at least he takes reduced damage from it, and in fact, all those thermals buff him quite a bit. Otherwise, I mean, I keep stealing his mods too, guys, because the thing is, he can do some cool stuff. I really like that he does his Lash Out ability, which he doesn't really prioritize on if he's on defense, but he does his AoE and he feeds turn meter a lot. That's why he has speed mods. I mean, he's been kind of downgraded, but if you can make him pretty fast, and this is not pretty fast, to be clear, folks, but if you make him pretty fast and if he's somehow able to go first, and this is like an old strategy, it doesn't really check out anymore because of all the fast characters and teams that you see. But if you got him to go fast, then he can, and you have the right leader, everyone's going to have advantage to start with depending on who the leader is, but then they all gain 25% turn meter, and so the rest of your team goes. And this used to be enough that if he went first, or if you get Phasma to go first somehow and give everyone turn meter, then he would help with the turn meter feed, and it would be game on. Otherwise, I mean, I like that on basic, he has healing immunity. He's got a lot of cool stuff, and he used to be like the one-man show. Like, he used to just be able to go in and solo an entire team. It's just not the case anymore. He used to kill phase 1 of the tank raid way back in the day when the tank raid was the main thing. Good character, just kind of past his prime, folks. So let's see who's next. We've got Hut Spence this time, not Suspense. All right, so the next up, folks, First Order Stormtrooper. Now, I had to pick between, so he's kind of, so there's Hux and there's Crew, like there's the really good support who hands turns to people, and then there's the really good tank who can 2-turn stun. He has a pre-taunt, but he's a tank predominantly. Those two are the really good, they're the real deal, and First Order Stormtrooper is the backup. He's backup Crew. He does okay on a lot of levels, like he's pretty tanky. You can see I actually have some decent mods on him. I used to, I got him to Relic 7 at one point, was gonna get him to 8, just so that I could start putting more Jedi teams, or putting Supreme Leader Kylo on defense, and he was making your First Order Stormtrooper super tanky is definitely part of that strategy. However, I mean, it's kind of just that idea, the novelty is worn off a little bit. Now I have a better shuttle, though. I'm sure he's adding so many stats with his Relic 6 and 7. I think the thing that I like most about him is people can really get into trouble if they're not looking out because of the return fire. So he has a counter chance, but whenever he uses any ability, then he has a 50% chance to call a random ally to assist, dealing 50%. I mean, there's so many caveats. It doesn't seem that good, but I mean, it can get really dirty if he if he counters someone, if they're hitting him because he's a tank and they can't get past him, he shoots back and calls someone to assist. If he calls Supreme Leader Kylo to assist, it can get dirty really, really fast, even with only 50% of his offense. So Phasma, what to say about Phasma? She's great in territory wars. Honestly, if you know how to run the team, which I do not, you can see my horrible mods. And you know, I just don't pay as much attention to territory wars. I'm sorry to say, folks, but if you have a well-modded Phasma, or at least a correctly modded Phasma, then the team will take out another squad most territory wars. Usually, they can do that. Are they killing Galactic Legends? Not really. Not too much, unless there's a Datacron or something that really helps them, but they punch way, way, way above their weight, and most people just aren't prepared for them. So she's pretty good with her Omicron. If she doesn't have her Omicron, like, I wouldn't recommend putting her Zeta on, frankly, and we'll talk about that more in the Zeta video, but like, she's just so meh, to be honest. She's, you know, yes, her territory war Omicron is great if you're gonna use it. I have it, I don't really ever use it, but I mean, her going first, if she can go first, all allies gain 50% turn meter and advantage for 2 turns. Really nice ability, and you know, you can spam that in if you're using her Omicron. So yeah, she's good. She's Relic 7 as well. Gosh, what a high-level shuttle this is, guys. We must be fancy. She facilitates a lot. If she's just in JAC, she should just be benched, folks. People try putting her on defense, and I just use Nest and call it a day. Now, oh, hold on. Wait a minute. Gosh, I'm done, folks. I'm not done. I wish I was, because that Phasma was supposed to be ranked way higher than that, folks. She should have been the number 4 on the list instead. So we're talking about First Order Officer, and okay, so just imagine the Phasma is at the top of this little group. All right, we went over First Order Stormtrooper. The next in line would be First Order Officer, and so yeah, he's the backup to Hux, and honestly, I use him and Hux with Supreme Leader Kylo a lot, just so that they can hand him a ton of turn meter. The reason he gets the nod instead of First Order Stormtrooper, which, I mean, Kylo can make do with these two kind of as a support depending on the situation. The thing that gives me the more more reason for, you know, giving him more responsibility. First off, he's got a vital ship for this fleet. If you don't have the Echelon, you ain't nothing. But you know, he's Relic 8 because of this ship, of course, and of course I don't need it anymore, but you can kind of make him a little bit fast. And the other really nice thing is he's plug and play to some degree. You have this marching orders where he just hands the turn to someone else. Target other ally gains 100% turn meter and advantage, which is pretty nice. You can target whoever. You can target a Galactic Legend. You can target whoever, and you just destroy them and their faces. You have Sith Trooper here, guys, and he assists all the time. He's the one character that kind of crosses over into other builds, other than maybe like Crew works because he's a good pre-taunt, etc. But Red Trooper, he really likes being with Kylo. If you don't want to put him with Kylo, you can put him with any number of other Sith characters, and he now flies the TIE Dorito, so we use him with the Leviathan fleet every day. Putting a lot of relic levels on him does tend to be a good idea, because he consistently shoots every time a Sith ally or First Order ally goes. And maybe, do they have to crit or something? Let's see. I don't even remember, guys. Whenever they score a critical hit or stun an enemy, he's called to assist. So, yeah, he's pretty good. He does a lot of cool stuff, and you can just put him on like a Sith Eternal Emperor squad, and he'll still do well. I really like him in tandem with Vader, in fact, because Vader is able to do Merciless Massacre, and every time he does every time he does a crit, Red Trooper is there to back him up. even during Merciless, so that's pretty cool. Hey, look at that. We haven't talked about Phasma for a while. Not. Yeah, so she's pretty good at 4. And then finally, folks, we have Hux. I almost debated putting him as number 2. He's just so good, folks. He is very important. So this is the ability that you really want with him. And you know, if all allies are first order at the start of the fight, then your opponent can't gain bonus turn meter, which is so crazy strong. And that's why I think you should be playing his Zeta a lot earlier in his development. Then, like, you should prioritize him over some of the Supreme Leader Kylo Zetas, for that matter. So very, very strong. Obviously a capital ship pilot, and yeah, all of his stuff. He's just good, man. He's really good. He's a whiner, but he's pretty good. He looks kind of like he's on, I don't know, he seems pretty emaciated right here. Poor dude. Alright, crew. I don't know if he should be 2nd or 3rd necessarily, but I mean, there's a lot of stuff to like about him. There's tenacity down on basic, and he counters a lot as a tank. A taunting tank is really nice. He does halt, which is 2-turn stun, which is crazy strong. This ability I never use because it deals double damage. Woo! Yay! To someone who's stunned, like he does, like double of 0 damage is still, you know, it's 0. So his leadership is also really good. It's the only other, so Phasma's got an okay leadership, and then Crew is the only other one besides Supreme Leader Kylo that has a passable leadership. And yeah, he's really strong, guys. He's I like that he's plug and play as well. If you apply the unique, then yeah, he gains a taunt. He gets a pre-taunt right there from that. And that makes him plug and play. Character whose ship really hits really hard. He's vital, guys. And essentially he just goes with Supreme Leader Kylo and does what Supreme Leader Kylo tells him. So I don't know. His lead also makes it so that he can't be killed. There's a lot of really fun aspects, honestly, guys. But at the end of the day, he's number 2 on the list. Number 1, you guessed it, Supreme Leader Kylo. It's the guy who takes his helmet off. He's pretty good, obviously. He's a galactic legend. He speaks for himself. Alright, guys, I'm going to call it good. What order would you rank them in? Stay tuned for my Zeta video. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Zereth prevails and goes to sleep. He is exhausted.